Welcome back, everyone. Here we are in my breezeway. You can see the room is really looking good. I mean, we've done a lot to this room from the day we bought this house, and it's looking quite nice. But there's a few things that we really need to fix. One of the goals that I had set this goal up when we bought the place. Technically, I bought the house, but it's our home. You know how it goes. I wanted to rip out these jalousie windows because, well, I don't like them. I mean, they don't look great. They're hard to clean. They don't really seal up in the winter. I could go on. And they keep breaking. I have to keep riveting them back together. I've got a lot of rivets I've got to replace. It's the whole thing. It's just, jalousies suck. But it's not on the budget right now to redo this room. And to be honest, the jalousie windows are, they're actually kind of the best solution for this kind of a room. I'm going to be completely honest, they really are, because they're floor to ceiling windows. When these are opened up horizontally, you get a nice breeze coming right through here. It's actually quite nice. They are a nice idea. The problem is they're just very complicated and they are very fragile and they're impossible to clean. That being said, for now they're going to stay. Now that moves us over to this door. Now this door is original. As far as I know, the jalousies were put in probably very early on in the house's life, probably before 1960. House was built in 54, so they moved in 55. So somewhere between the 5-year window, I'm going to guess, is when this was all put in. This door is just, it's rough. I've been looking for a suitable replacement door for this, like a nice wooden door with windows in it, like this one, to be honest. Can't really find anything that I like, and so there's that. So my options are been narrowed down to repairing this door and making it something that's usable, that is a little bit nicer. So I've come up with a solution. We're gonna whittle this door down to its frame. So we're gonna take the jalousies out. I'm going to strip all the paint off. I'm going to re-support the door. So the originally when this was built, there were dowels that are linking the frame pieces together. Now, if you look at a book on Basic Woodworking 101, it'll tell you that what each component of the door is called. I believe these are called stiles. I don't know what this is called. Whatever. The door is held together with glue and dowels. And over time, that jalousie window has added a significant amount of weight that it was never designed to hold. And it has caused the entire door to kind of go out of square. You can see there's a gap opening here, down there, up on the top there, right where I'm pointing, and right at the bottom of that joint. So the whole door frame is kind of out of square. So step one, we need to get this door back into square. Shouldn't be that hard to do. Second thing we've got to do is you've got to build a frame to put glass into, because these jalousies are getting heaved. And I have contacted a local glass company, and they are in the process of making me a custom tempered glass panel. Just the bare glass. I've got to make the frame, and I've sized it to fit right in that 2x5 opening right there. So I've got some time this weekend. I want to get some work done, and we're going to do that now. Before I do any of that, though, I want to fix this right here. This door frame is rotted completely out. So I went over to my local hardware store, and it turns out they actually have premium pine boards that are already planed down to exactly 1 inch wide, which is exactly what we need. So we're going to cut that to the right size. I'm first going to cut out the old piece. We'll match it up, cut what we need, and then put it in. So let's get started. So we're going to start by removing, we don't need this. This doesn't do any good for anyone. Get rid of it. Goodbye. So to do that, I should be able to just use my Johnson bar and a hammer. And just there. Okay. That can't be removed, not easily. Because what they did is they put this on first. So that can't come out easily. I was hoping that it was, yeah, no. We'll have to figure that out. So let's just remove this piece here. Yeah, you see, it's behind this molding. All right, that's fine. Let's get rid of that. What I'll probably end up doing is I'll use my my oscillating tool and kind of cut that whole thing out from the top to the bottom. That should be doable. But why they would even bother with this, I don't even understand. This is a porch. It's not insulated, whatever. If you've never used an oscillating tool, you don't know what you're missing. This thing can cut, plunge cut straight through this line all the way through to the end without any real effort. I can't support my phone very easily, so let's see if we can figure this out. There we go. Let me just re-angle the tool here, or the bit. Oh, battery's dead. Probably not a good idea. All right, I think we have to go this way with it. I didn't think this through, did I? How do they do this? Sorry, guys. I believe this was all made out of one piece of wood, and then they just grooved it. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm going to have to cut this whole section out, which I wasn't really preparing to do. Well, that sucks. All right, the right thing to do would be to cut out the rest of this, or just take a bulldozer through the entire breezeway, but we're not doing that. It's not on the budget right now. This is surprisingly strong, and we're just gonna I'm going to take all this out, as much of this rotted wood as I can. And I'm going to probably mix up some wood filler and just pack it in there, because what the hell. Yeah, if I have to buy a whole can of this shit, I'm going to use that. We'll just pack it in, do the same thing with this. And I'm not talking like Elmer's glue wood filler. I'm talking like basically Bondo. And we're just going to do that. Whoever lived here before, they use this is foam. This is foam. They made it out of foam. Look at all the little pissed off ants. This used to be wood. It's not anymore. I'm gonna vacuum this out pretty well. And like I said, we're gonna pack it. We don't want a void back there. We want to pack that right up with something that'll cure. So let me get my vacuum and clean this up. I have to recreate this piece here with my table saw. That shouldn't be too hard. So we're gonna make a piece to fill in right there, because this is all rotted out. So. Yuck. I did remove all the metal weather stripping with my handy dandy oscillating saw. And I was able to cut all the nail heads off. Just remove the whole thing. It doesn't need to be there. It just gets in the way. So. Okay, off we go. Okay guys, so here's where we're at. This project just got a little bit more involved. So, and I don't mean a little bit, I mean a lot of bit. So I've decided that I'm going to replace the entire door jamb. There's no real good way around that. It has to be done. I don't want to do it, but I have to do it. So I've gone back to the hardware store. I picked up just a door jamb leg. You can buy just, you know, part of this system here. So I've got to remove a few things and get this job on the roll here. I've got the door jamb in the car. I also picked up some additional lumber pieces. I'm probably gonna have to go back to the store again. Don't want to, but well, you know how these things are. If you've ever done a home improvement project, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to probably replace, actually this is what I want to replace as well. I want to bring this down back to the floor and secure it to the concrete slab. Because right now, there's not really a lot there. Now, this piece of lumber here that entire window frame is sitting on, there's still some wood there. So we have to find that wood and drill into that. But it's not beautiful, but we'll see what we can do. This is actually carpenter ant damage, not termite damage. I'll explain later in the video how to tell the two apart. Termite damage, but it is termite damage. Could be ants. I did find a lot of ant damage in the sill that I replaced. So hopefully that's all it is. But I've got to remove this section of jalousies to go further, which isn't fun. These are heavy and, well, I'd rather not do this. But I'm going to have to take the glass out of the frame first. I may not have to. I may be able to just knock this loose. There really isn't much there. But I've got to figure out the dimensions of all the existing lumber so I can match that to something new. So we're going to use the tape measure here. So this is just over 2 inches thick, and it's probably going to be about 2 inches deep. I'm going to use this as a reference. So 2 by 2 roughly. So that's easy enough. I can make that pretty easily. Let's try to get this out. I don't see where it's nailed in, but I know it is somehow. So that's how they ran the doorbell wire? Are you fucking kidding me? That's ridiculous. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Okay, and they stapled it. Like, really, dude? Really? This was starting to get a little hairy because I was knocking this out, and because the window frame has no rigidity of its own, it was starting to pull the glass out. So I had to quickly regroup and don't allow that to happen. So, oopsies. Let's take it from the top here. We've got to take this all apart to rebuild it, right? So, here we go. I got it unlatched from the bottom. I have to pull it inward very gently. Take it out from the ceiling. Probably nailed in from the top, maybe. Could be toenailed. Ooh, watch out! Don't let it move that window frame, because that could be really bad. Really bad. There we go. So now we've got it all ripped apart. Let's see what we're left with. Oh, okay. There's some good wood there. I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be just fine. And it looks like the termite damage was limited to really what was rotted. So, I think we're going to be fine. So I have to recreate that. I've got to recreate that door jamb. You can see, but look at these nails. I mean, this is it. This is actually, look at that. This wood is held up remarkably well. It's just everything else that rotted around it. But this is still very solid. There's a little bit of rot back there, but as long as we can control the water intrusion moving forward, we're going to be okay. So, yuck. This is all silicone. All right. All right, so I got to trim those nails back, get those out of there. I'm going to try to clean up this aluminum too. I thought this was wood. It's aluminum. But I got the doorbell wire. Looks like I'm going to probably take this piece of trim off too, and we're going to just replace that with something else. Maybe quarter round or inch round. I think I have some inch round. And we'll clean this shit up, make it look good. All right, little update here. So we've got the door jamb. We're just kind of dry fitting it. We got the height cut. This door jamb is going to work perfectly fine. No worries there. We've got to establish the door stopping position. So I'm going to replace the header first, just so I make sure everything is exactly the way it was. These right here are cut to height. We're going to keep the width just the way they are. They're perfect. But what I want to do is we're going to take these off. I'm going to put some construction adhesive between them. I'm going to screw them together, and we're going to apply a primer all over. That's going to help reduce water wicking, especially on the grain ends, or the end grains, and that'll help keep moisture from wicking into the wood in the future. We're also going to apply a nice exterior grade paint, and then we're going to install them, the new piece. In the meantime, I have to, while I'm going to do that now, I'm going to get this all painted. While it's drying, I need to get some new trim board stock. I'm going to put a new piece up here. I'm not reusing anything that comes off the house. None of it gets reused. There could potentially be lead paint. I don't want to deal with it. You'll see we kind of reshaped this a little bit. We cut the end of that baseboard molding off so that it looks like this one. Okay, so we're just kind of making some minor adjustments. I think we're on the right path. I just need to get this put back together. All right, so I got this piece back off. We've got it primed. So by the time I come home from the hardware store, it'll be ready to be bolted in. I've got to get this piece right now. The original one was 2.5 inches thick, so we're going to get something equivalent to that. Actually, no, just standard trim board should be fine for that. We don't want it too thick. So I'm going to put that in. I think, yeah. And it looks like the original one stopped right about here. So I have the original piece. I just need to, yeah, we need to replace it with something new. I'm not reusing it. This is a little damp, but there's not much it's actually pretty dry. But we gotta get all that old paint off with a heat gun. I'm gonna just strip it all. Once I get things put back together, I'll strip all that off. And gotta get all of this old caulking and bullshit off. Maybe even replace some of those old screws too. Yeah, this is gonna suck. Yeah, all that's gotta come off before we put the new jam back in. All right, let's get going. I'm gonna need a new caulking gun too, because mine is a piece of junk. Well, it's that time of year where it's like 7:30 and I'm losing daylight, so I better move. I can't secure the house yet, and I had to make like 4 trips to the hardware store because of little things that I wasn't thinking of. So anyway, we put a bead of caulking on this lip of the jalousie window, so now we can put this back in place. This has already been pre-painted, so it's got fresh paint on it. It's top coat and primer, so that has to be done before this all goes together. And the bottom has been painted as well. So when we slide this in, we'll secure it, and then we can work on the door jamb, and we can get this moving. All right, so this section is now fully secured. It is screwed to the window frame. It is screwed to the header and the footer. Oh, I'm missing a screw there. Put one in there. But these jalousies are now secure. I even took this opportunity to put some paint stripper on the aluminum to clean it up, because I won't be able to do that again. And you can see the remnants down on the ground here. Yike. Okay. Let's try to fit the door frame. Now, as for this doorbell wire, not really sure what I'm going to do about that, but I've got to somehow figure out where it's going to go and make sure it doesn't get in the way of the molding. I don't know. We'll have to figure that part out. But this is all sealed up. On the inside, there's a good amount of silicone in there, so that's sealed to prevent water from getting down. I'm going to put a bead of silicone down there. Tomorrow, or maybe Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to strip all the paint from here over there, take that all out. Then we'll get some nice caulking on the top and bottom, and we'll seal that up for forever. We're finally at a point where we can at least get the latch side in. Now, when shimming a door jamb or a window, these shims are designed, you should be using 2, not just 1. You want to slide 2 one from either end together like this. I'll demonstrate here. The idea is you want the shim to be square, and you don't want it, so what you're going to be doing is you're going to slide these in and out to fill in the gap, or to shim whatever you're working on. And you want to slide 2 in, 1 from either side, so that it's a flat piece rather than a taper. Because if you put it in as a taper, when you go to secure it, it's going to want to bow like this, unless that's what you want. But I want to make sure that the gap is even top to bottom. So it's actually not great, but we're going to slide this guy out a little bit. Open this gap up a little bit, just like that. And once we put the screw in, it's going to draw it in a little bit more. I'm using these 3-inch construction screws, which probably are a little on the short side, if I'm honest. but they're going in that side, so this should be fine. I'm putting them in on the outside. 1, 2, 3. That's pretty good. So now when I close this door, it doesn't slam like it used to. And look at that nice gap. Look at that. This is perfect. Perfect. All I got to do now is I need to drill in a latch. Of course, you got to do the exterior trim. Now, the nice thing about these shims is that once you've done, quarter round is going to go here. I've got plenty of that. So just score it and break it. They make plastic shims, but I like the wooden ones. Cedar doesn't really rot very easily, so cedar is a good choice. That's been the default choice for, I don't know, a couple hundred years. Just like that, and you're done. You really don't need to put a million screws in there, but we are going to put some caulk in for sure. And right here. Right here. And like that. Didn't score it enough, did I? There we go. There we go. Now we just need to trim this out. I haven't really figured out what I want to do for trim and how I want to put the doorbell in. So that's still up in the air. I bought a few different options. One of them is AZEK right here. This is 2.5 inch, 1 by 2 by 8. You do AZEK out to there and then quarter round on the inside. That's probably what I'm gonna do. That'll be tomorrow's project, and the doorbell will be mounted to the AZEK. I like using AZEK for exterior trim because it's plastic. It's made from the same, it's vinyl. It's made from the same material as the siding. And the nice thing about, yes, you should paint it. I've learned that the hard way. But you've got to, you should paint it for longevity and appearance. But the other thing is, it never attracts pests. So it won't attract anything like your carpenter ants, your termites. So they won't touch it. It's naturally rodent or pest resistant. So I'm gonna put some silicone up and down that crack on the outside, so that when I put the trim on, even if water gets behind it, it'll never get through. So I'm gonna do that now, and that's it for tonight. I'll continue on in the morning, and we'll finish up with trim work. I got to put in a new header, and then I want to start working on straightening out this door. Probably should have waited until the door is fixed, but the door is not going to go any bigger, and yeah, so it'll all work out. So I went ahead and I got the latch working. Just drilled a hole. We'll make our adjustments later on that one, but I want to get this door somewhat corrected. So what I went and done is we're gonna just put in one of these screws. So I drilled a hole right about halfway through this stile, and we're gonna drive that in all the way in. It should kind of go right into the half of it should be in each section of the door. All right, let's see how this works. Now I loosened up the window frame to prepare for this. Okay. It actually did work. Well, it drew it together a little bit. Okay, so while it didn't actually, it worked. That gap is much smaller, as are all the other gaps. So we just did one side of the door. We did the latch side, and it really, the door just feels better now. So we'll do the hinge side next. That's not for tonight, that's another day. But we're on our way. We're on our way to betterness. So, moving forward here. Look at all this sawdust. I don't want the kitties on the porch right now, but at least I got the house latched for tonight. And at least a little bit. I can't be chiseling that right now because I got neighbors. Got to worry about the neighbors. So, all right. Unfortunately, my neighbor just decided to mow his lawn, but I had to make room for that doorbell wire. So I had to cut a channel or a groove in the back with the table saw. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. That's where the wire is going to be hidden. I left a gap up there accidentally. I'm going to have to figure out a way to hide that. Damn it. So that's too big. I can't just hide that gap. So I'm going to have to go and cut that nail with my oscillating tool and then realign it and push it back up again. But you get the idea. The doorbell is going to slide into that hole. I have two doorbells to choose from. I bought a button doorbell, and I have the original, well, not the original, but the one that I bought. That fits just nicely on that molding. So I got to cut that nail and start over. Now, what's interesting is the odor of this wood. It reminds me of my old music classroom back in middle school. It smells like our music room. I don't know what that smell is, but it's whatever that wood is, species of wood. I don't know what that all is. So this gap right here, this little strip of looks like paint and caulking is actually like 70 layers of paint here. And this was between the jalousie window molding, or the seam, and the exposed. This was actually between the window frame and the molding over the door frame. Just this one strip. Now, to put it into context, we've been able to reduce that strip size to about 1/4 of an inch, which I've been able to level off with caulking. So it's a little less maintenance in the future. Let's take a look at the damage. So this right here is a problem. Now, most people would see this and say termites. No, this is carpenter ant damage. There is a difference. Carpenter ants are attracted to wet lumber because wet and rotting lumber. So what happens is, as the wood begins to become waterlogged, it's easier for the carpenter ants to chew into it. So what they'll do is they'll burrow into it and create tunnels, passages, and galleys for storage of food, for habitation, and as a place to lay their eggs. So it's important that when you find something like this in your house that you address it immediately and don't let it spread. Termite damage is far worse. Termite damage is, once it starts, it don't stop. Termites eat wood as food. And big difference here is carpenter ants don't eat wood. They chew into it, and they burrow into it like we see here. But they generally will leave the wood alone if it's dry and it's not rotted. So once you find the cause of the wet wood and you cure it with either better weatherproofing, or you just replace everything and start from scratch, they won't really come back. But termites will come back, and they will cause even more damage. So this wood is done for. This is the bottom right here, obviously, and the top. And this track right here, this I believe was from the doorbell wire. Actually, no, because that came up from the top. I don't know what this is. But it could have been an entrance. Maybe the ants came. Oh no, they came in from the bottom. I don't know what that came from. But yeah, so I'm not too worried about it. We've taken care of the problem. We've remedied the problem. We've replaced it all with new wood. Now that bottom board wasn't as badly damaged because it's pressure treated. It resists insect damage. Same with the other side. It's actually a bright yellow color when you cut into it. So I believe it's copper sulfide that they used back in the day. And it hasn't rotted because it's so well pressure treated. And it's also very old and very heavy lumber, so a little less resistant to pests and to rot. But anyway, so we got to get this cut up and throw it in the trash. And you can see where it was painted. There's like a million layers of paint here. This is the part that was exposed. It had caulking and paint. Many years worth of both. So not very pretty. There's nothing I could have done to make it look good, so had to go. And to think I was going to save this. I was going to save this. I can't believe that. Can't believe I was so naive. So we're on like day 4 now, and here's where we're at. So I stripped all the paint off of this board here. This is a 2-inch, a true 2-inch, I believe by 8-inch pressure treated piece of lumber. And it does have some rot. But it's still enough wood there. It's still solid. It still holds everything together. So we've kind of let it dry out a little bit. Reapplying new caulking, but I'm going to also add a drip edge so that water doesn't land. What's happening is water lands on this and it stays there and it seeps underneath. We've got to stop doing, we've got to let that, that can't keep happening. So we're going to add an 8-foot drip edge, and we're going to build some trim outwards to prevent that from happening in the future. So that's the plan. Let's get it done. And there you have it. All of this I did with a pneumatic nailer. It was fine. And so what this is going to do is it's going to solve a problem that's been going on for a very long time, where water sits on that ledge right there that splashes up from the bottom. You have gutters here too, you know. And the water just sits there and it soaks into the concrete, gets into the wood, and it stays there. So this is going to deflect that water down. So you've got this quarter round of the top. It's going to cause the water that's coming down this way to kind of go around. And then it's going to go down over top of that flashing and onto the ground. So that'll fix that. We're going to do the same thing to the other side while we still can. Because the longer we let this stuff kind of be the way it is, the more damage results. So this should be good. This is good and strong. I have no concerns there. Just so you know, this, I guess you could call it a beam, whatever the hell it is. It's very heavy, so I cut out maybe a 2-foot section of this stuff right here, because it used to continue all the way to the end. There was no door there originally. I took out a section of this stuff, and it weighed, I had to carry it with 2 hands. It was so dense. I mean, the rings were like microns apart. I mean, it was ridiculous. It's such an old piece of lumber. You can't buy anything like that anymore. You just cannot. You cannot buy anything to replace that with in a lumber yard today, unless they're cutting down an old growth forest. So this is going to look really good. I think this looks a lot better than it did. So I've got to start painting. I've got to do the finish coat on all of this interior, and then we'll work on the exterior once all this dries up. See, case in point about the latches here. When you're dealing with a wooden door, this thing latched perfectly just a little bit ago. Now you got to kind of slam it. Otherwise, it doesn't fully latch. So you got to give it a good slam. Wooden doors are funny like that. Yeah. It's possible though that I may have to trim a little bit off the top. It's a little late for that now. think maybe once I get all the layers of paint off this door, maybe that'll make up the difference. And then the weather will change, and you know, it's just how things are with wooden doors. But this is all done. I went with the button doorbell rather than the plate. And I think that looks a little bit cleaner. A little bit Art Deco, actually. All right. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Now imagine this door in better shape. Stripped. I'm going to fill in the cracks, clean it up, give it a nice coat of white paint on the inside, and of course on the outside it will be that new red color. And it'll be good to go. Then we'll put the window glass in there, even better. All done. All that's left is I got to do the door, which will be in about a week once the glass comes in. I'm going to put in a new threshold, one that's adjusted correctly to the door height. But I'm considering waiting on that because I'm going to have to do some work to the floor. I noticed that the paint is starting to peel again. So I thought about more long-term solutions to the floor. I might actually have the floor ground and tile put in. So I don't know. We'll figure that out. Coordinate them as I need to. But this threshold is not adequate. It's not filling in the gap all the way. It was one of the first repairs I made to the house, and I didn't do it right. You can see that there's a nice big gap here. So this has to be removed, get a new one, and cut it properly to fit in here, and then secure it to the concrete. Thresholds are not a forever thing. They are one of those items that does occasionally require replacement. So this is one of those, well, that's what we're going to have to do, I guess. But I'm really pleased with how this came out. I think this is going to look really nice in the long term. And yeah, very nice. I forgot to put a drip edge up there. I need to do that. I can sneak one in, I think. Or not. I don't think it's necessary, honestly. You know, I don't really think it's necessary. Why would you need a drip edge there? You got the overhang coming out almost a foot. So maybe I don't need a drip edge. But anyway, there you go.